About Colorado Springs, joining us on this Thursday, as she does every Thursday. That's Michelle Malkin. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Story that the whole world is talking about, it seems like, is the senseless, random murder of Chris Lane, gunned down by two black teenagers, one white teenager, down in Duncan, Oklahoma. What's interesting is some members of the family of a couple of those young men say it's the community to blame. Some are blaming guns. But, and some are questioning, well, was it racially motivated? Take a look at one of the tweets that James Edwards, one of the young men accused of murder, tweeted recently. 90% of white people are nasty. Hashtag hate them. What do you think?
Yeah. Hashtag hate them. I don't think you could be any more explicit about the racial nature, the racial animus of at least one of these alleged perps. And of course, it's not enough for all of the leftists who would usually be jumping out of their seats to play the race card when these kinds of crimes occur. And I think in general, the reaction to this compared to other politically expedient crimes shows the lack of moral gravity on the part of so many people in this country. It's distressing to me. I'm sick to my stomach thinking about this case, and particularly when you look at the social media footprint of these thugs. More is going to come out.
It's inexcusable, too, that our press secretary didn't even know about it. This is Australia. The whole country and prime minister has weighed in about it. They are mourning, they're shocked, they're stunned. It's the #1 story, and Australia's been our chief ally, fighting by our side every single conflict. You could always count on them, at the very least, be tapped into the point where you can comment on this senseless murder.
Yeah, that's right. It is literally an international incident, and the White House has nothing to say about it, although they have plenty to say about. That's right, hadn't heard about it, although they always have something to say about the most trivial things if it serves their political agenda. And, you know, the thing about the left is they're always so quick to talk about, quote unquote, root causes of crime. But we're only allowed to talk about the root causes, again, that benefit them electorally. And the one thing that they don't want to talk about here are the cultural and moral issues that create the kind of animals that are involved in this case. The total lack of regard, not only for the rule of law, but their total callous disregard for the sanctity of life. These cowards, and I don't care what their race is, the color that's involved here is yellow. They were all cowards, shooting an innocent, peaceful man in the back as he was on a jog in middle America. What is going on in this country?
Yeah. Michelle, we've heard from Jesse Jackson. He did release a statement, but nothing so far from the Reverend Al Sharpton, nothing from the president, as we were saying. What do you expect will happen? Do you expect that the president or Reverend Sharpton will come out? I want to get that answer, but let me first read this. This is the statement from Jesse Jackson. The recent incidents of violence in America cause each of us to collectively resist all forms of violence in our society, in particular black-on-black violence that disproportionately affects every facet of black life in America. We must learn to live together in peace, or we will most assuredly die apart in our own neglect. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, that was a rather underwhelming statement, and as many people responded and reacted yesterday, the particular phrase that he used was very tepid and passive. He said that this kind of violence is, quote, is frowned upon. What? This is an atrocity that everyone should be condemning from the top of their lungs, and this guy can't even get it up with his finger to wag it with any sort of conviction.
Right.
And it shows you that these race hustlers have absolutely no commitment to principle and cannot transcend their own racial, narrow agenda.
At least Jesse Jackson did put out a statement. He put out that statement after he got beat up on the internet, after he said it was frowned upon.
But exactly, Steve.
We have not heard from Al Sharpton. And, you know, in the Trayvon Martin case, if this were similar,
he would be down there
in the obvious ways. There would be a rally, people would have T-shirts, there would be live shots, all different.
Yeah, well, now we know how to shut him up. You know, I say many times that in this morally deranged culture, with these race hustlers having such prominence that some crimes are more equal than others. And that's what this textbook case is showing right now. It's horrifying.
Well, it's hard to tell you one thing. You really got to study this NSA things. Number one, the scope of the program. How is it supposed to work? What exactly is going on? The Wall Street Journal had a major story a couple of days ago, and then yesterday afternoon, more information about breaches that the FISA court is now releasing that James Clapper, unredacted and unclassified. Here it is. They essentially say that we've gone through that the NSA they say the NSA has gone through 75% of all the emails in this country and have admitted to taking thousands of intercepts from Americans, not necessarily reading them, but they are harvesting them. Here's what the NSA says in response.
Yeah, essentially what the bombshell was that the Wall Street Journal had released the fact that they're spying on they can reach into 75% of our computers and our internet. And apparently yesterday the Obama administration revealed that the NSA has violated not just a law, but has violated the Constitution 3 times. Also, apparently the FISA court has revealed that they can't trust the NSA. And you know what? When you look at the things that the administration has put out there, Michelle, it's hard to argue with it. For instance, the White House has said in the past that no data was being collected on Americans. That is false, just like that. In the past, officials have claimed the spying was limited to people overseas, foreign, as in FISA. That is false. And the president himself has claimed more Americans learn about the programs, the more comfortable we'll all be about that. And that is false. I can't trust them. Can you?
Yeah, you need to put one of those red stamps across the White House. False. Yeah. It's a shame. There was a time in this country when the NSA did have America's trust and when they were doing the right things to keep our country safe. And I would say that when history looks back on the Obama administration, it will be determined and agreed upon that this administration, more than any other in American history, even the Nixon administration, did more to undermine trust in the integrity of all of our government institutions, from Fast and Furious to Benghazi to the spying on the press and the American people. And they've made us less safer, not more, not only from terrorists, but in our own homes.
But the same people that were working in the NSA, there's a lot of great people there, and these are human errors.
Yes, there are.
And the senior intelligence official said this about the report. It's not an egregious overreach by a greedy agency seeking to spy on Americans. This is a technological problem resulting in an inadvertent collection of a relatively small number of communication.
So the NSA is saying trust us, but Michelle, you kind of sound like you're doing a 180. In the beginning of this, you were like, I trust them, I believe they're working in our best interest, but now you don't trust them so much.
Well, I'm not saying that I don't trust the rank and file cryptanalysts and people who are veterans of the NSA. I'm talking about the spinners and the fraud committers. And the people in the White House who have lied to the American people. I mean, to me, that's the tragedy. We need to be fighting a war on terror. We need to have an aggressive stance. We need to be collecting intelligence. We need to be collecting the dots and connecting the dots. I said that after 9/11. Nothing has changed. I've not done a 180 at all in any of that. And I certainly have not done a 180 on talking about the excesses of this administration and their lies.
But what's interesting is when it comes to the NSA, people like you, Michael Hayden and others said, listen, this is what they do. They got to work behind the scenes. If they expose too much, it destroys the program. They're in a catch-22 situation. The president should be doing that. John Brennan should be doing that. And they should be, the chief of staff should be on every show. They're the ones who should be making the effort. But there's no effort there. They let these stories go, cycle out, and put some helpless press secretary there in over his head from the minute he walks in the room.
Right. They've undermined confidence in America's ability to defend itself from people who will stop at nothing to kill us. And that's the tragedy in all of us.
Well, Senator Corker now wants a new round of briefings, so we'll have to find out if that's going to happen. Thank you so much. Michelle, we appreciate you being with us.
See you later.
Have a good one.